Now before we get started, I just want you to know that today's video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. I'm just kidding, I'm kidding, don't go! But I do have an announcement to make. This Sunday, December 8th, I'm going to be at the Sac Gamers Expo in Sacramento, California. I'm going to be there with a bunch of other guests, including Arlo, Black Nerd, Loxton. It's going to be so much fun. So if you're in the Sacramento area, I hope you come by and say hello. I'll put the link down in the description below so you can find the address, amongst other things, price admission. It's a cheap event. Please come by, see that Sega machine that he's talking about. I don't really know what that Sega machine is, but I guess it's because I'm a fake gamer. Now then, let's see what this is all about. I remember the days when Star Wars video games were coming out left and right. Granted, this was back when video games were less expensive to make and didn't take as long to make. Still, this past generation, we've only had 3 Star Wars games, and 2 of them were Battlefronts. Not very good ones, mind you. The first one had a $50 season pass, and the other had a massive supply of loot boxes. I guess that's what happens when you shut down LucasArts and give creative control to EA, Disney. It doesn't help either that EA this generation has been more concerned with profits than actual game quality. Unless their games have been made by Respawn. Respawn Entertainment is probably the best development studio at EA right now. Their first game, Titanfall, was a pretty damn good multiplayer experience, and then their sequel, Titanfall 2, went the extra mile with a single-player campaign that was light on the story, but heavy on great level design. They also made Apex Legends, a free-to-play battle royale set in the Titanfall universe that is solid as well. Basically, anything Respawn touches turns to gold, which sparked a new hope in every Star Wars fan's hearts when they revealed that they were working on their own Star Wars game.
So the Star Wars name is Jedi Fallen Order.
Woo!
Yeah, not a very good announcement, but whatever. It's funny because during the marketing of this game, EA touted it as a complete single-player experience, even though a few years prior they've stated that single-player games are not nearly as popular as they used to be, which has been constantly disproven time and time again. And what's even funnier is that they tweeted out that the game's not going to have any microtransactions or loot boxes, almost as if they know they're bad things. Okay. Well, I don't know what Respawn did to convince them, but Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is a completely single-player experience with no online elements whatsoever. And if there are any video games I love, it's the ones that are completely single-player with no online elements whatsoever. The game is set 5 years after the tragic events of Revenge of the Sith, where the movie was made and most of the galaxy's Jedi were wiped out by the Empire and deemed illegal. You play as a Jedi Padawan in hiding named Cal Kestis, who, long story short, gets found out by the Empire and is on the run. He is rescued by former Jedi Master Saer Grunda and her pilot Grease, and they come across an ancient vault that houses a holocron showing the Force-sensitive children within the galaxy. In order to get this holocron, Cal must go through a series of tests on different planets. Only thing is, the Empire is looking for the same one. Shocking. I'm not going to dive into spoiler territory, but the story in this game is awesome, especially during the last mission, which is all sorts of hype. In addition to that, the story also does a great job of expanding the lore in the Star Wars universe. At least what's considered canon now, but that's a whole other can of space worms I don't want to get into. Now as for the gameplay, do you remember The Force Unleashed, the game where you play as a Sith and he's just hacking and slashing everything and using insane Force powers? Well, this is nothing like that. Jedi Fallen Order's combat is more strategic and focused. You really have to think on your toes if you want to defeat enemies. You can't just keep hacking and slashing, otherwise you'll die. It's like Dark Souls. I tried to avoid saying it like that, but it's crystal clear that Respawn took inspiration from games created by From Software, like Dark Souls and more notably Sekiro, when you consider that you and your enemies in this game have stance meters. That doesn't mean the game is as hard as Sekiro, it just learned a few lessons from it. Granted, the game was still hard for me since I played on Jedi Master Mode because mama didn't raise no bitch, but if you have a younger gamer who wants to play a Star Wars game like this, you might want to make sure they play it on easy or normal. Even then, The combat has so many layers to it that figuring them out is part of the fun. It's one of those games where you really do get better at it as you continue playing, and that's not just because you get these awesome powers along the way. You'll become more natural at dodging, blocking, parrying, and using the Force. It's pretty much the definition of easy to learn, hard to master. And just when you think this game can't be more like Dark Souls, there are checkpoints you can rest at that respawn all enemies when you're done resting. Which makes sense because these levels would be boring otherwise if the enemies just stayed dead. And this is where the Dark Souls comparisons stop, because Jedi Fallen Order is basically a hodgepodge of great ideas. In a sense, it's part Dark Souls, part Uncharted, part Tomb Raider, part Zelda, and part Metroid. Oh, and part Star Wars. Now this isn't me crapping on the game, I actually like that it takes these elements from other titles and utilizes them well, especially with the Metroidvania aspects. Cal will acquire new Force powers and gear throughout his journey, which will not only allow him to progress further, but also go back to other areas to complete puzzles and find more secrets he couldn't get to previously. Acquiring Force powers will also make him more of a Phantom Menace in combat, unlocking more moves in the skill tree to take down stormtroopers and frogs more easily. I really hate this frog. Another upgradable component is your droid BD-1, and he is the greatest droid in all of Star Wars. Hands down, no question. And I'm not saying that just because he's cute, but because he assists you in combat and traversal through his many gadgets and gizmos. It really makes the game more fun and exciting as you continue playing. Since I'm a big fan of Star Wars and Metroidvanias, this game has my name written all over it, but it isn't without some flaws, like the respawn time. Why? Another common complaint I've heard is about the lack of a fast travel system. It's not like the game is open world or anything, but the environments you explore are quite big. So that means you'll have to do quite a bit of traversal to get back to your ship, even with the unlockable shortcuts. I don't really agree with this complaint, since going through these environments on foot is how you fight enemies to gain experience, and how you find secrets you might have missed. What I think is the major problem with this game, however, are the abundance of tech issues.
I'm Sword Tormo, baby! I'm the boss of this operation!
Was that a glitch in the hologram or a glitch in the game? I was debating between getting this game on PC or Xbox One X. PC is of course the best place to play, but I also didn't want my glorious 65-inch 4K HDR TV to go to waste. So I decided to get this game on Xbox with performance mode turned on, and let me tell ya, I wish I got it on PC because this frame rate lags like a muffa. Even then, I've heard this game has the same tech issues around all the platforms, which I hope get patched within the next few weeks or so. Regardless, I'll probably get this game a second time on PC because I love it so damn much. Not just because it's a great game, but because it's a great game published by EA. If there's one company I've been disappointed with the most this generation, it's them. Letting Respawn Entertainment make the game they wanted to make without any bullshit microtransactions or games as a service elements must have been a really hard decision for EA to stomach. They also let them do this for Titanfall 2, which of course didn't sell well because they decided to release it in between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty. Genius. However, if you didn't buy Titanfall 2, I won't let you make the same mistake with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. If you're a fan of Star Wars video games, this is already a must-buy. But if you're a fan of single-player games and not as much of a fan of Star Wars, you should still buy it because it would be great even without the Star Wars IP to its name. Still, I'll help make your decision easier. Buy Jedi Fallen Order, or you'll make BD1 sad. You don't want that, do you? You'll also make BD1 sad if you don't hear me talk about Raid Shadow Legends. Now, here's how it works. Thank you guys so much for watching this new episode here on FerrisWheelPro. Special thanks goes to my Patreon supporters, Justice to Free, Stephanie Ferris, and Smash JT. You guys are awesome, and if you like this video, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to know when I upload another one. In the meantime, you've been watching FerrisWheelPro, and I'll see you on the next ride.